Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 776 to 778 for the 9th to the 11th of April. So I wanted to do this frontline changes. I wanted to do the SITREP yesterday, but as I mentioned in the frontline changes report, I was out of whole day, so I was unable to do it, and there was so many changes in the frontline changes report. So so if you want to watch the frontline changes, do check the frontline changes in the previous video, and we're going to go into the SITREP. And before the SITREP, there is still a little bit of frontline change, mainly over at Novokalynove, over in the Avdiivka Front. So this Avdiivka city in the north of Donetsk city, and Novokalynove, based on Russian mapping, they have claimed a lot of changes over in the eastern part, and in the southern part, the Russian forces seems to have captured a lot of grounds based on information from Ryba, the pro-Russian source. So it's unclear if this is a reality, but this is the claim. So these are the two sides with the Russians attacking from two different directions. So this is the frontline change over at this Avdiivka Front at Novokalynove. So based on the on top of what we have reported yesterday. So we go into the strategy and tactical reporting. First thing first is the Russian Defense Ministry on the 11th of April yesterday reported that they have launched massive missile strikes, and they have hit the Ukrainian fuel and energy plant, as well as some UAV facility. So and then a long-range weaponry. So what did I say? Sorry. In response to the Ukrainian attack on Russian oil, gas, and energy facility, so Russian revenge against this attack with massive strike at the facility of Ukrainians' own fuel and energy plants. So basically, it's a tick for tack kind of thing, and so this basically was quite bad for the Ukrainians, as multiple power stations was hit. And there's one being geolocated over at Pilosivya, and there's also, I think there's one over at Kharkiv, or is it at Kiev, that was totally destroyed. So anyway, not important because it doesn't change the front line directly. Over in the southern front, there is continued fighting over at Krinky, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, as well as Ryba and Deep State also. The Russians continue to be trying to grind away at the Ukrainians that is currently trying to hold a beachhead over at Krinky itself. Otherwise, there's no change in terms of that situation. Ukrainian Marines continue to hold the position. Across the river on the northern shore, shelling was reported at Mykolaiivka, over at Ivanivka as well. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, geolocation of Russian artillery hitting Sadove, which was not reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, and there was a S-300 that was destroyed over at Chernomorsk, somewhere west of Chernomorsk. So this is pretty far away, and so the Russians continue to try to hunt for all these Ukrainian air defense systems, and the destruction of all these air defense systems is going to make the Ukrainians very vulnerable. And they are already very vulnerable. They are now demanding that the West give them 7 batteries of Patriot surface-to-air missile systems. I believe people say that it's a $1 billion per battery, so that's like $7 billion worth of stuff. It's going to be pretty hard because from what I read from on Twitter, on people's reply, they say that the entire of Europe, there's only 20 batteries. So, to ask for 7 is like a lot. So over at Nikopol, there is also shelling being reported. And there's one more thing is also that I lost the train of thought. But it's something to do with the surface-to-air missile systems. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This surface-to-air missile system is not like you don't need training. You still need training, and in fact, from my understanding, you need a lot of training to operate such surface-to-air missile systems. Is not so simple. Like, even to train someone to use an artillery is also not so straightforward. People need to know how to adjust the bearings, adjust the direction, the elevation of the gun in order to fire the exact grid on the map. So no, not to mention surface to air missile system. So it's not a computer game. Yeah. So that's why there was rumors that some of these surface to air missile systems that was operating in Ukraine is actually run by NATO soldiers. But no, there's no way to verify such information. So it is what it is. Over at Zaporizhzhia Front, there is fighting being reported at Lobkove, as well as Robotine. So that's the only two. If you cannot see, it's only like this, only these 2 points. And so at Robotine, there is geolocation of Russian forces dropping off troops in the middle of Robotine, basically invalidated Ukrainian claims that they have control over that part of Robotine. So as per mentioned in the Frontline Changes report, this also probably means that the Ukrainians probably can't have these salients around here. This area is most likely also under Russian control. So but we will continue to see and whether we will have any geolocation or footages or drone footages to verify such assertions from myself. So that's all I believe from the Zaporizhzhia Front. Is pretty quiet. And we move on to the Velika Novosibirsk sector of the Donetsk Front. Russian forces continue to be attacking Makarivka, Staromayorsky, and Uruzhaine. Geolocations clearly shows the Ukrainians are still in the same position. Frontline did not change. So this is pretty static, no warfare around this area here. So we move on over at the Volhyda sector. There is a reported attack towards Vodian. However, Ukrainian forces are being reported to be attacking Mykolaiv. There is also some reports about Russians attacking eastern part of Vodian. So this area here is very vague. Everything is pretty much in fog of war. So it's very hard to tell what exactly is happening. So we will wait and see what for more information to come out from the sources. So over at the Marinka sector, Russian forces continue to battle in the battle of Novokalynove. Ukrainians trying to hold them back. There is Ukrainian attack towards Boyeda. And then Russian forces are attacking Georgievka as well as Krasnohorivka. Ukrainian forces counterattack at Krasnohorivka. So to go in a bit further, there is actually, at Novokalynove, Russian forces have taken more grounds. They are slowly grinding westward at Novokalynove. So the battle still continues. Over at Georgievka, there's basically no news. At Krasnohorivka, Russian forces continue to be geolocated to continue to land troops. According to some people, they say that this shows that the Ukrainians have run out of manpower or have very little manpower or artillery shells or something to stop the Russians from continuing to build a strong position in order to continue to push out from this area here. So we shall continue to monitor. There is geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting bombed over in the southern southern part of Krasnohorivka. We will continue to monitor and see. So far, this is looking quite bad for the Ukrainian forces. Moving into the Avdiivka Front. At the Avdiivka Front, there is Russians continuing their offensive, with this time round fighting concentrated on Novokalynove, Badaichi, over at Umansky in the western part of Tonenke, in the area of Vodian, Netolove, Povomaysky, although Povomaysky has been captured, and Nevelsky. So we zoom into the Povomaysky area here. As I mentioned in the Frontline Changes report, both Ukrainian and Russian sources say that Povomaysky has been captured by the Russian forces. This comes with the geolocation of Russian forces on the western part of this very long settlement. This settlement is very long. Is basically like this. It's like the French loaf. So this French loaf, the Russians have basically taken all of it. So Ukrainian forces reportedly are counter-attacking in this area here. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, the Ukrainians are trying to push back the Russians to see whether they can retake the part of it. And there is a geolocation which I mentioned in the Frontline changes report, which was listed to be Russian forces. I'm not exactly sure, because if this is true, then we are talking about a huge capture by the Russians, which is a bit too big over a span of 1 day. So which is why this frontline change is listed as black color, because it's a bit unclear if that's the case. Russian forces are reportedly attacking in the western part of Donetsk. They're attacking north of Vodian. Ukrainian forces are reportedly attacking at Vodian on the 10th. So it was not reported on the 11th. So on yesterday. So things are moving very quickly in this area here. And there's already claims of Russians attacking Netelove, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry themselves. So Russians are already pushing towards Netelove, and this corroborates the possibility of Russians have already taken Pervomaisky. And the fact that the Ukrainian Defense Ministry's last report on Pervomaisky is on the 10th. So on the 11th, they are talking about Netelove. So this could be a quiet acknowledgement that the Russians have captured Pervomaisky. So this is very important to note. And there is I have geolocated the Ukrainian forces south of Yasnobrodivka over this area here. So definitely the Ukrainians at least have certain positions around here. However, the video footage do seems that they are trying to redraw from this area here as they try to evacuate their forces from this area here. So we will continue to wait for more confirmation from the various sources to see what exactly had happened. The video footage is not exactly the clearest. So over at Umansky itself, there is geolocation according to Deep State UA that Russian forces have landed forces over on the southern part of Umansky, on the most eastern part of the settlement. So Ukrainian forces are counter-attacking to try to push back the Russians. We will continue to wait and see, if this is going to be, something that is holdable for the Russians. Moving up north, Russian forces continue to push northwards from Badaichi. The latest geolocation shows that the Russians have taken the northern part, and this actually also has been acknowledged by the Ukrainian mapping. So Russian forces continue to be pushing in this area here. Ukrainian forces are counter-attacking from Novokalynove against the Russian forces, and Russian forces have not fully captured Badaichi just yet. There is rumors of that, but that seems to be not the case just yet. Ukrainian forces continue to be counter-attacking at Badaichi. Situation, like I mentioned, is getting very desperate for the Ukrainians. There's a comment that wrote, it seems to be, the frontline changes have been so intense that it seems to be the Russians are starting to steamroll the Ukrainians. I wouldn't say it is a steamrolling just yet, but it does start to feel that way. It starts to feel like this is the beginning of some kind of steamrolling, but it's unclear because the specific depth of the Ukrainian troops right now is still not very clear. From my own sources on the ground, on the Ukrainian side, fighters from the Ukrainian side, the situation on the Ukrainian side is horrible, like horrible. So. If I review exactly everything that he tell me, you would think that I'm telling you Russian propaganda. So I'm not going to tell you because there's no point. But the reality based on the sources, my source is that everything is bad. Like there's no equipment. The equipments are low. Manpower is low. Many units exist only on paper. So things are not good. So if you're pro-Ukraine, my suggestion is to take care. Don't get too emotionally damaged, and be prepared that things could get worse. Because I know that many of you guys who are pro-Ukrainian may be watching some pro-Ukrainian YouTube channels, and they may give you false hope. That's the problem. And don't get this false hope. It will mess up your brain. Don't do that. So at Novokalynove, things are getting interesting because Russian forces are attacking from two different directions, from the east and from the south. As we mentioned in the Frontline changes report, the Ukrainians will struggle to hold back this position. We will continue to wait and see how this progress in the Novokalynove. The fall of Novokalynove will force the battle into Keramik, and from Keramik, then it's going to be very complicated because the Russian forces could go through this area here, but I haven't really fully analyzed this area per se. So far, it doesn't look super strategically important unless they can reach the highways. So anyway, we will wait and see. We'll wait and see. Nothing at the New York front. We move into the southern part of the Bakhmut front. At the southern flank of the Bakhmut front, Russian forces continue their usual with fighting at Klishevka, Andriivka, and Kudyumivka. So that's about it. No frontline change. And over at the northern flank, which is where the Russian offensive is currently ongoing, the Russians are attacking towards Chasiv, with fighting reported at Nove. There is also, of course, previous claims that the Russians have taken Bodanivka, and they are also attacking in the area of Ivaniske towards a canal towards Stupovsky. So Ukrainians are counter-attacking at Ivaniske region. Various geolocation or Ukrainian forces do some slight frontline change. So not particularly important to really detail every single thing. However, there is one geolocation, which is the Ukrainian forces at the very edge, the very last few buildings of Bodanivka. So that kind of invalidates Russian claims that the whole of Bodanivka has been captured. But we will wait and see, because this geolocation might be a very old video. Like, maybe it's a week old, so that could be the case as well. If I zoom out furthermore, there is a few lancet strikes, which is very unusual, very far away. There's one south of this Fedorivka. This is an artillery gun getting hit by a lancet. Along the road, there is a T-64 BV tank getting hit by a lancet as well. And these are rather far away from the front lines. We are talking about, like, this is like 15-16 kilometers. The other one is around 12 kilometers. So these are a bit far away, which means that even despite that the Ukrainians and the Russians are battling out, duking it out at this front line, supposedly there should be a lot of Ukrainian troops and equipment over in the fronts. Lancets still fly all the way to the rear positions and hit something in the rear. So lancers still fly very far away to find targets. So this is very stinky. So we will continue to wait and see how this progresses, because it's very unusual. If the Russians have to hunt this far away for something to kill, that means near the front line there is actually not a lot of equipment. So this is again not looking good for the Ukrainians. Over at the Siversk Front, this front line is starting to burn very brightly. Russian forces are attacking at Rozdilivka in the north of Vasily. Particularly, they are moving towards Vimka, to the point where the Ukrainian forces are conducting counterattack in this area here. Russian forces now, for the first time, video confirmed that they are attacking Verkhomokalyamske, and they are attacking in the area of Bilohorivka, particularly in the Chok quarry. So Siversk Front has starting to become a real situation, the real front line, very active front line. And then at Srebrenica itself, also there is reports of artillery shelling or some kind of fire attack, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. So we shall see how this goes. I'm not the kind that feel like, based on strategic situation, I don't feel like the Russians should go for Siversk, but it is what it is. It is currently happening. And so we move up north to the Kreminna Front. At the Kreminna Front, Russian forces are continuing their usual attacking in the area of Terny, geolocation of Russian forces on the east of Terny, and Ukrainian forces are geolocated at Ivanivka, northwest of Terny. So nothing much to talk about at Kreminna. And we move on further up north. Over at Sviatove, there is fighting reported at Andriivka. No, sorry, this is old information. It's already outdated. Sorry, I forgot to read, to look at. Also, nothing at Sviatove. There is shelling reported at Kryakivka. So this is on the crossing area of Senkove. So there's some bombardment over there, and at the Kupyansk Front, Russian forces are attacking at Kaislivka and Sinkivka. Kaislivka is only on the 9th, so this is just a one-off. there's one off attack. 10 and 11, it was not reported. Sinkivka itself is also on the 9th, which means that the Russian forces has stopped fighting at Kupyansk Front. Kupyansk Front has actually went quiet. So looks like the Russian forces are now regrouping in the Kupyansk Front. Maybe they're plotting something bigger. With the full concentration of the force is actually at Avdiivka Front. Let me change another color. At the Avdiivka Front, as well as at the Bakhmut Front in the Chasivya, as well at Siversk Front. This looks like the few directions that the Russians are now focusing on. And the fighting at Uruzhany Staromayorsky at the Velika Novosilka sector also seems to get serious. Of course, we also have the Donetsk Front over at the Marinka sector, where the Russians are also making real pushes. So these are the various places, and it looks like everything is focusing within the Donetsk Oblast, which means that the Russians are still following through with their initial goal, the military goal that was actually mentioned in the first year of war, which is to capture the entire of the Donetsk Oblast, which means that this should be where we should put our focus on, that means the Russians are still looking to conquer the entire of the Donetsk Oblast, and of course the little bit left of the Luhansk Front, Luhansk Oblast regions. So I think this is still the main goal of the Russians. I think without capturing the whole of Donetsk, I don't think the Russians will go into any peace talk, because then they will not have a strong negotiation position. Then they will have to trade Donetsk for something else. I don't think the Russians want to do that. They have the military power to conquer the whole place, so they would. Over the border regions, there is geolocation of artillery hitting Ukrainian mortar at Khuryev. There's another one, which is a radar equipment or radar station getting hit at the Merlier Visitorop. And there is also this artillery system. This actually went viral. So there's this military base or storage base where there is columns of artillery guns. It's unclear if these guns can be used. Maybe these guns are too old and they can only be used for parts or something. It's unclear why they are all kept in the open, and these artillery systems are destroyed in a very massive big missile strike, allegedly Iskander. So one big strike destroying all of them. So, but it's unclear, or maybe the Ukrainians totally forgotten about them. I'm not sure. So this is a bit weird to have so many artillery guns, sitting in the open. I think they must be able to use it, somehow, because it's a very mechanical weapon. But somehow, they are all there and then they got destroyed. So it is what it is, and that's it. So this is the summary for the day of 776 to 778 for the 9th to the 11th of April, the situation report, the SITREP. Do press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.